The rain poured down relentlessly that morning, turning the city streets into glistening rivers of steel and glass reflections. Jason Harlow, a single dad with tired eyes and a heart full of responsibility, gripped the steering wheel of his battered sedan like it was the only lifeline between him and survival. His 5-year-old daughter, Sophie, hummed softly in the back seat, oblivious to the storm outside and the storm of debts and bills that weighed heavily on her father. Jason had fought every day to give Sophie the life she deserved. One warm meal, a cozy bed, and laughter that could chase away nightmares. Yet, on this particular day, fate had a cruel twist waiting for him. Just as he parked outside the posh glass-encased building of the prestigious Langford Foundation, a thunderous knock on his car window startled him. Looking up, Jason was met with the piercing jade-green eyes of a woman he instantly recognized from magazine covers and social media. Vivian Langford, the billionaire heiress whose family fortune ruled industries he couldn't even dream of touching. She stood there, soaked to the bone, an expensive silk coat clinging to her tall, graceful frame. Something in her expression, equal parts desperation and urgency, made Jason's chest tighten. He knew he shouldn't, but he didn't have a choice. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness. This story might just change your day. Vivian didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Jason Harlow," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I need your help. It's urgent." Jason frowned. Billionaires asking for help was usually code for something impossible, yet her eyes, so raw and human, convinced him to listen. He rolled down his window fully, letting the cold rain soak him, because her urgency left no room for hesitation. "I can't explain everything here," she said, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "But if you don't do exactly what I ask, things could get messy." Jason's stomach knotted. Messy? That word didn't even begin to cover the feeling that pulsed through him. But then he looked at Sophie, quietly drawing a smiley face on the fogged-up car window, and he knew there was no time to overthink. Vivian stepped closer, her hand brushing his arm. "There's no time," she whispered, and before he could protest, she kissed him. It was sudden, electric, and confusing. Jason froze, stunned by the boldness of the heiress. The world outside, the rain, the traffic, the city itself, faded into nothing. He felt Sophie stir in the back seat, sensing the tension, but Jason couldn't pull away. The kiss was a mixture of fear, desperation, and something unspoken that neither of them could articulate. When Vivian finally stepped back, she looked at him with a vulnerability Jason had never seen in someone so powerful. "I had to," she said, barely above a whisper. "They're watching me. They'll hurt the people I love. Please, just trust me." Jason, still catching his breath, knew this wasn't the time for logic. Somehow, by some inexplicable twist, he had to trust her. And for Sophie, he would do anything, even this. Jason followed Vivian into a sleek black SUV that smelled faintly of jasmine. The interior was warm, plush, and worlds apart from his own life of worn-out carpets and hand-me-down furniture. As they drove through the city, Vivian explained, her voice a mixture of fear and hope, that her father's company had enemies, people who wanted to control every asset and person connected to her family. She didn't know who she could trust. And in a strange, inexplicable way, she believed Jason, a man with nothing but his honesty and integrity, was the one person who could help her stay safe. At first, Jason felt the weight of the absurdity pressing down on him. Him, a mechanic and part-time delivery driver, responsible for keeping a billionaire alive. Yet every time he glanced at Vivian, something in her eyes, a haunting loneliness beneath the wealth and glamour, made his doubts shrink. He wasn't just helping her, he was protecting a human being, someone as fragile and scared as he had been when Sophie's mother left them. The first challenge came faster than he expected. They were followed almost immediately, black SUVs tailing them through the streets. Jason's driving skills, honed by years of dodging potholes, traffic, and every reckless commuter in the city, were put to the ultimate test. He weaved through tight alleys, barely making it through stoplights, while Vivienne clutched the seat, her usual composed demeanor replaced by raw terror. But even in that chaos, their brief hands touches and fleeting eye contacts spoke volumes. They were strangers, yet in those moments completely connected. Finally, they reached a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a place Jason knew only from rumors and late-night deliveries. Vivienne's expression softened as she glanced around, realizing they were safe for the moment. Exhausted, Jason sank against a crate, his body aching, mind racing. Vivienne knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder, warm despite the lingering chill of rain. "You saved us," she said quietly. "You didn't have to, but you did." Jason shook his head. "I don't even know why I did. Maybe it's just, you reminded me of what matters. People over money, heart over fear." Vivienne looked at him, her green eyes glimmering, and for the first time Jason saw her not as the untouchable heiress, but as a woman who loved, feared, and dreamed just like anyone else. Over the next few days, as they hid from danger and worked to outmaneuver those who sought to harm her, Jason found himself opening up. He shared Sophie's quirks, the little moments that made life worth it, and even a fear he had long buried, that he would never be enough for his daughter. Vivienne listened without judgment, offering wisdom he hadn't expected from someone born into such privilege. Her world, full of glossy events and endless money, had cracks of loneliness and pressure that mirrored his struggles in ways he never imagined. Then came the moment that changed everything. One night, after weeks of hiding and planning, Vivienne found herself cornered by a man who had been following them. Jason had distracted the man, but in the chaos, Vivienne was at risk. Without thinking, Jason pulled her close and kissed her, not out of obligation this time, but because he couldn't contain the flood of emotion any longer. It was desperate, passionate, protective, and honest. When they broke apart, Vivienne didn't recoil. Instead, she rested her forehead against his, tears mingling with the rain on her cheeks. "Jason, I never thought I could feel this safe with anyone," she whispered. "Not like this, not ever." And in that moment, Jason realized that despite their worlds being miles apart, love, courage, and trust had bridged the impossible gap between them. The next morning, as the city woke to sunlight glinting off glass towers and puddles, Jason and Vivienne stood together on the roof of the warehouse, looking at the horizon. Sophie's laughter echoed nearby as she played with a stray dog they had rescued on the way, a small reminder that life's beauty could bloom even in the darkest corners. Vivienne turned to Jason, her hand finding his, intertwining their fingers naturally. "You've changed everything," she said softly. "Not just for me, for Sophie too." Jason felt the weight of the world lift slightly. In saving Vivienne, he had discovered something he hadn't dared to hope for, a love that defied wealth, status, and fear. He had also learned that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it, for the people who mattered most. In a life filled with bills, sleepless nights, and relentless struggles, he had found a light that made every hardship worthwhile. Days later, as they walked Sophie to her first day at a new school in the city, the three of them laughing and holding hands, Jason caught Vivienne's eye. She smiled, not with the calculated charm of a socialite, but with genuine warmth. "Thank you," she said, leaning close to whisper, "for everything, for the kiss, for trusting me, for being you." Jason smiled back, realizing that some moments, fleeting as they might seem, could change everything forever. If this story touched your heart, made you believe in second chances, or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, share, and comment below. Your support helps us bring more stories that inspire hope and courage to the world.